everyone, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club and welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're going to be continuing with our playthrough of Dawn of the Zeds. This is episode 2. So far the citizens of Farmingdale are holding their own, but we have two pretty disturbing developments on the board. On the suburban track we have a 15 strength Zed mob that'll be closing in on East Irick soon. And a similar situation on the highway track where we have an 11 strength Zed mob that'll be moving up towards Ingeborg. So we'll have to see what happens. And we're going to begin the new round with a drawing of an event. All right, our next event is, oh no, the doctor is in. Okay, for our phase is 0. We have no infection, but we have some other things happening in the infection phase. It says at the end of this phase, immediately place infection to 13 and conduct an unchecked outbreak. Oh no. And then the other part of the card is that would be for a versus game, so we won't have to worry about that. All right, so we have an unchecked outbreak will occur. So we're going to move our infection level up to 13 per the card, and we're going to have to resolve an unchecked outbreak. And we'll see what that's all about. All right, the first step is we have to make an outbreak roll. So we're going to roll 2 dice, and we'll reduce the infection level by the amount rolled. Our roll is an 8, so we're going to reduce the infection from 13 down to 5. And then it says follow the outbreak procedure below. Except instead of placing a new random Zed unit, we would be placing a super Zed unit if one is available. All right. So the first portion of an outbreak procedures, we have to draw a fate card, and we'll see what happens. We're going to determine where the outbreak will occur. In this case, it is where the most Zeds units are located. All right. The track with the most Zeds units. Well, all those tracks are tied. We have 2 on the forest track. We've got 2 on the suburban track, 2 on the tunnel track, 2 on the highway track, and 2 on the mountain track. So it'll be our choice. And we're going to need to place that on the closest chaos space on that track that we select. That's the closest to the town center. Now, these 2 tracks, the suburbs track and the highway track, there are no chaos spaces on there. If we were to place the token on the start space, it would be overloaded, so we would have to go to another space. So, in that case, I think what we'll do is we'll place it on the tunnel track, and that'll go into the chromotechnics lab. So we'll make a draw of a super Zed and put it in the chromotechnics lab. Okay, here is our draw. And this one is, all right, that has a designation of R. Let's find out what that is. And that is a reanimator Zed. And checking the Farmingdale dossier, we find out that the reanimator Zeds says every time they are activated, reanimators remove 1 hit of damage from themselves before moving. When they are on their reduced side, this heal may flip them back to their full strength side. If their tracks get activated twice during a Zed's phase, they remove 1 hit for the first activation and then a second for the second activation. On a Brains event, they are only activated once. They can keep moving if they win, but that does not count as a separate activation. All right, so we've placed the Reanimator Super Zed in the Chromotechnics lab. Now checking the Zeds portion of the card, we're going to have activations on the highway, mountain, and the tunnel track. So the highway track activates and the Super Zed mob is going to move into Interstate 6. On the mountain track, we'll begin with this 5 strength Zed in Lefty's Pass, and he is going to attempt to enter the space, the Lucky Strike mine, which is currently defended by Sheriff Hunt. So we're going to have a battle there. So right now we are at 5-5, so that's even. Sheriff Hunt is going to gain a 1 shift to the right for the mine location. So we are at human advantage right now. Now, Sheriff Hunt has the martial arts ability. It says in every hand-to-hand combat, he is allowed 1 reroll, and that result is final. So we'll make the roll and see what happens. We have right now human advantage. So we'll make the roll and see how we do. Okay, here is the roll. The roll is an 8, and on human advantage, that's going to be 3 losses for the Zeds, 1 loss on our character, and the Zeds will have to retreat. So that's what's going to happen. 3 losses on that Zed is going to flip them, and they're going to retreat back to Lefty's Pass. Now, Sheriff Hunt has taken a hit. He has the special ability Tough, and it says for each time he receives a hit, we're going to roll a d6. On a 4, 5, or 6, the hit will be canceled. Here's the roll. And he failed, so he's going to be taking a wound. So we'll mark him with a wound, and that is going to flip him, unfortunately. So he's on his reduced side now. Now, the other Zed, which is on the start space, will move. He's going to move into Trail 6. All right. And finally, the tunnel track is going to activate, and we'll begin with the Zed that's closest to the town center, and that's going to be the 5-strength Zed in the catacombs. Now, he's in the catacombs. We have to make a d6 roll and see what happens to him. On a 1, 2, or 3, he'll move normally. 4 or 5, he would remain in the catacombs, and on a 6, he's lost. The result is a 3, so he's going to move normally. He is going to move ahead to Dr. Martus's office, and that is going to cause chaos to result. And we'll place another chaos marker out on the board. All right, then the Super Zed is going to move from the Chromotechnics lab into Red Labs 6. Finally, we have a 6-strength Zed on the tunnel track entrance. He'll move into the Chromotechnics lab. Now, there's special stacking restrictions in the tunnel. And that says that all tunnel spaces have a stacking limit of 1, except for start spaces and the town center basement, which are 2, and the catacombs, which have no limit. All right, that's going to complete the Zed's activation. We'll move to our portion of the turn. And during our portion of the turn, we have 1 activation point, so we'll mark that accordingly, and we'll see what we're going to do. All right, I think we're going to begin with Mr. Johnson. He's going to use his player action token, and we're going to spend that, and he's going to attempt a gunfire attack on the Zed mob that is approaching from Interstate 6. So, Mr. Johnson has heavy weapons, and that's going to give him a 2-column shift to the right. So instead of 3, he's going to be at 5 for the gunfire attack. And we'll see if he can, in fact, do some decent damage on that mob. Here's the roll. The roll is a 10. That's pretty good. A 10 on a 5-strength gunfire is 3 damage. So we can disperse that damage however we wish. And I think what we'll do is put all of it on the 6-strength Zed. That'll move him down to 1. And I think that is a good use of that gunfire attack. That cost us 1 ammunition, so we're down to 3 ammo. All right, I think for our next action, we're going to use Sheriff Hunt's leadership ability token. We'll spend that, and that's going to allow him to activate either a civilian or refugee unit in his space or next to him, and they'll get 1 free action. So we're going to activate that fleeing refugees unit in Trail 3 and move them into the campground. That'll be Sheriff Hunt's use of his leadership token. Now, incidentally, I forgot about our fate card that we had. We used that to determine the location of the Super Zed that was going to come on the board. We also have this hold for later portion, and I think I might use that right now. It says play during the action phase to draw a new random available hero unit in either the town center or any start space. So we're going to do that. All right, so I'm going to shuffle up our hero character deck and see who is going to arrive to help us out. And here is the draw. We got Wilson the Hermit. He's a scavenger. All right, we're going to get his token out. Let's see what he starts with first of all. Wilson the Hermit just gets his token. That's it. All right. We'll get his token out. All right, so Wilson the Hermit is going to come out on the board. He has a combat strength of 1, or of 2, 1 when he's reduced, 4 movement points. He has the scavenger ability, which is similar to Mr. Johnson. And he has Lucky Charm. When Wilson is stacked with another player unit, but not in the town center, the unit can roll an extra die for their rolls, including combat and saving rolls, and select which die or dice to use during the outcome. And he has shortcuts. As a part of his move action, Wilson can move from any space to the same numbered space on an adjacent track for 1 movement point. A player unit in the same space as Wilson may take a shortcut as a part of his own move action. Then he has Premonition. While in play, the top card of the Fate draw pile can be inspected at any time. Well, let's leave the Fate deck open and we'll take a look at that card. All right, so we'll reveal the top card on the Fate deck and see what that is. That is You're Stuck on Stupid, and the activation location is going to be the highway. And then we have to play the card if that is activated. It says, if possible, select 2 player units in the same space. They cannot perform any further actions this turn as they are involved in a huge argument with each other. So we want to make sure we don't have multiple characters in the same space. That's good. Very useful ability. I think Wilson is going to start in the town center. So we've placed Wilson the Hermit in the town center. Now, that's 2 characters there. In case that Fate card comes out, we don't want them to be together, so we're probably going to have to move one of those characters out of there. All right, that's at least some good news for us. And I think I'll use one of our actions, and we're going to activate Wilson himself. He has 4 movement points, and I think I'll get him to the farm. He can help to kind of shore up that forest track a little bit, and at the farm would be a good place for him to do some scavenging. So we'll have him move 4 movement points, 1, 2, 3, 4, and he's at the farm now. All right. All right, Deputy Schmidt is up. He's going to use his initiative token. That's going to give him a ability to activate himself. And I think what he is going to do, we've already built a barricade there, and I think what we'll do is have him do some foraging. So he'll make a foraging roll at that location. And we'll see how he does. All right. Deputy Schmidt does not have any special abilities regarding foraging, so we'll be using a town location, and we'll make the roll and see what happens. Here is the roll. Rolled a 2, that is a failure, so we get nothing for that. The only token we have left is Bob Bauer's crew, and we could use that token to exchange 2 supplies for 1 ammo, and I think we'll do that. So Bob Bauer is going to use that explosive devices token. We'll spend that. We'll spend 2 supplies and we'll gain 1 ammo. And that's going to complete our round. And we're ready for our next event phase. We'll draw an event and see what happens. This time we have Something Wicked This Way Comes. Oh boy. Okay. The 4R phase has 0. Infection, we have to make a die roll. And right now our infection level is at 5. So we're going to roll 2 dice and we'll see what happens if there's going to be an outbreak or not. Now I just remembered we had that combat up in the Lucky Strike mine that should have raised the infection level up 1. So the infection level is currently at 6 right now. All right, we're going to roll 2d6, and we're hoping for a result greater than 6. Let's see what happens. Result is a 5, so we have failed that infection roll. So what will happen is we are going to reduce, if the roll is equal to or lower than the infection level, an outbreak occurs. reduce the infection level by the amount of your roll, and then we're going to go through the outbreak procedure. So our infection level will be down by 5. We're down to 1 right now. And now we have an outbreak. All right, we have to draw that fate card now. And that is that card, You're Stuck on Stupid. It's going to occur on the highway track. So that is where the outbreak is going to occur. All right, so we're going to be on the highway track, and it says, place the Zeds unit on the fated track on the chaos space closest to the town center. Well, we don't have a chaos space on that track, so then it says, if there is no chaos space on the track, place the new Zeds unit on the village space closest to the town center, and that's going to be in Ingeborg. So this 5-strength Zed appears in Ingeborg. And that's going to cause an immediate attack. So the combat odds are 5-3. That is going to be Zed's advantage. And Mr. Johnson is going to get a shift there for the Ingeborg defenses. So we are at equal 2 right now. All right. Now Mr. Johnson does have the traps ability. It says when a Zeds unit or a Zeds mob enters his space, he may roll a die. And then on a 1, 2, or 3, we would conduct the normal hand-to-hand combat. A 4, 5, or 6, the Zed will take a hit and he can retreat. I think we're going to try that route. So we will have Mr. Johnson attempt to use his traps ability. And here is the roll. He rolls a 4, so he's successful. The Zeds unit is going to take a wound. He is going to retreat. And chaos is going to result in Ingeborg. We'll place a chaos token there. All right. Now the card also says, if possible, select 2 player units in the same space. They cannot perform any further actions this turn as they are involved in an argument. Well, we don't have any space with multiple characters in it right now. So that card will not apply, and we'll put that into the discard pile. And now Wilson the Hermit's premonition is going to kick in, and we can take a look at the next fate card that will be coming up. That one is going to be PETZ Protests. Zeds Rights Now. Play this card. The People for Ethical Treatment of Zeds riot. Roll a die and apply that many total losses in any combination. That's going to be supply losses, ammo losses, increase in infection, or hits to player units. That's not a good card, but that's what will come out, and it's going to be the player's choice will be the location if that card gets used. All right, that completes the infection portion of that phase. Next would be Eat. We have no one at the hospital and no one in the refugee camp. We'll move on to the Zeds phase, and all Zeds will activate. And it says at the beginning of this phase, we would have a Zeds movement pressure. That won't occur because we're not in the multiplayer game. It says then, for each catacomb space, we're going to have to roll a die. And then depending upon those results, 1 would be place 2 new Zeds units there. 2, 3, or 4, place 1 new Zeds unit there. Or 5 or 6, no effect. All right. This is at the beginning of the phase, so we're going to have to go to the tunnel track and find out what's happening. All right, we'll roll a die for the catacomb at Red Labs 5, and we'll see what happens. The result is a 3, and that says place a new Zed unit there, so we'll draw a random Zed. And that is going to be a 4-strength Zed. Okay, now we'll make a roll for the catacomb in Red Labs 3. Result there is a 3, and once again, 1 Zed will appear. Here's our random Zed, and it's a 5-strength Zed. That track is really going to be a problem for us here. All right, now all the Zeds are going to activate. And I think we'll start out with the forest track. We've got a 3-strength Zed that is approaching St. Thomas, and he's attempting to enter that location, so there's going to be some combat there. It is 3-3, so we're even. And we're going to get a 1-strength or 1-column shift to human advantage. Our infection level is going to rise by 1. For the hand-to-hand combat, we're at 2. And here is the roll using human advantage. The result is a 5. And the 5 is 2 losses on each side, and the Zeds have to withdraw. So 2 losses on the Zeds. They will withdraw. And now we have to take 2 losses. First loss is going to flip the counter. And the second loss will go on that unit. And that'll complete that portion. Now on the same forest track, a 5 strength Zed at the starting position will move to Route 6. Okay. Now we'll move to the suburban track, and we've got a 15 strength Zed mob moving into 6th Street. And now the tunnel track is going to activate. The most advanced Zed on that track is the 5 strength Zed in the catacombs. So we'll make a catacombs roll for him and see what happens. The roll is a 1. He'll move normally, so he will move into Zone 1. 5 strength Zed in Dr. Martus's office will advance into the catacomb. Now we have another catacomb here. 4 strength Zed, see what happens to him. The result is a 1. He'll move normally. He enters Dr. Martus's office. 4 strength Super Zed is going to move into the catacombs. And finally, the 6 strength Zed in the chromotechnics lab will move into Red Labs 6. That'll complete the tunnel track activation. And now we'll move on to the highway track, and we have a damaged 5 strength Zed in Indeberg that is attempting to move into Interstate 4. And I think once again, Mr. Johnson is going to use his traps ability. And we'll have him make a roll using his traps. Here is his roll. Roll's a 1. We failed. So it'll be normal combat. So what we've got here is 5 to 3. Mr. Johnson will be defending. And at least I think so. Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. Maybe I'll have the civilians unit defend. That would be Zeds times 2 at this point. Does Mr. Johnson get any other defensive abilities here? No, not really. Well, that would keep Mr. Johnson at least at, if we use him, it would only be Zed's advantage rather than Zeds times 2. I think we'll have to use Mr. Johnson. So we'll make the roll using Zed's advantage. Oh my goodness, the result is a 2. And that is going to be 4 hits on Mr. Johnson. That is not good. Well, the first hit is going to flip him. The second hit is going to take him out. So we're going to have to do a saving roll for him. So we're going to roll a d6. On a 1, 2, or 3, he's going to the cemetery. On a 4, 5, or 6, he's going to go to the general hospital, and he'll be in a comatose state with an EKG marker. Here is the roll. Result is a 2. And that's it for Mr. Johnson. He's been overcome by the zombies, and he's going to go to the cemetery. All right. We've lost, and our group of civilian units has to retreat, and they're going to retreat to the nuclear plant, and the Zeds unit is unscathed in that battle. All right, now the Zeds mob is going to activate, and they're going to enter Ingeborg. All right, so they're in Ingeborg, and that'll complete the highway track activation. Now we're going to move to the mountain track, and we've got a damaged 3 strength Zed moving up and getting ready to attack Sheriff Hunt in the Lucky Strike mine. Now that battle that we had previously is going to move the infection level up to 3. That was the one on the highway track, and now another hand-to-hand combat will move that up to 4. All right, so right now we've got 3 to 3, so that is equal to, but we're going to get a 1-column shift for the defenses of the mine, and that'll give us human advantage. So we'll see what happens. All right, here is the roll. We rolled a 7. 7 on human advantage is 2 hits on the Zeds, 1 on us, and the Zeds have to retreat. So the Zeds will take 2 points of damage, and they will retreat back to Lefty's Pass. Unfortunately, Sheriff Hunt now has taken a hit, and that is going to potentially kill him. We're going to have to do a saving throw for him. Now, he does have tough. We're going to roll a d6, and we can cancel the hit on a 4, 5, or 6. That would be the best thing that could happen. We'll try that. He failed that. So now we have to go and do the saving throw. 1, 2, or 3, he goes to the cemetery. Any other result, and he'll be at the hospital in a coma. Here's the roll. Rolls a 6. So Sheriff Hunt will be placed in the Farmingdale General Hospital with an EKG marker. So we'll place Sheriff Hunt in one of the beds, and we're going to give him one of those EKG markers. All right. We have an additional movement on the mountain track, and that 4-strength Zed is going to move into Lefty's Pass, and they're going to form a 7-strength Zed mob at Lefty's Pass. All right, that's going to complete the Zed's activation. Now it's our turn. We get 3 activations this turn, 3 activation points. I didn't notice, but my camera ran out of battery power, so I had taken 2 actions already at this point. I did 2 gunfire attacks from the 4-strength security guard unit in Red Labs 1, and they were able to get 2 hits on the 5-strength Zed at the security guard post. Right now our ammo is at 2, and we have 7 supplies left. The infection level is at 4. And I'm just going to be moving now to Deputy Schmidt, and we're going to try to use his initiative token at East Irick. And I think Deputy Schmidt will do that. He's going to use his initiative token, and we're going to make a gunfire attack at that 15-strength Zed mob in 6th Street. So we're going to spend his initiative token, and we'll spend an ammo, and he'll make a gunfire attack. Deputy Schmidt is a strength of 4. Okay, here is the roll. Rolled a 7 on a 4 is 2 hits. We've got 2 hits. I think we'll apply both of those to the 9-strength Zed. All right, that helped a little bit. We have 1 action remaining plus Bob Bowers' explosive devices token. I think we're going to make another gunfire attack. I think we'll do that. And Deputy Schmidt will spend the last action we've got and another ammo. We're out of ammo right now. And we will make the roll. Here's the shots. Rolled a 4. A 4 on a 4 is no hits. That's unfortunate. All right, Bob Bauer is going to use his explosive devices token, and that will allow us to spend 2 supplies to gain 1 ammo. And that's going to be the extent of our actions for the turn. Sheriff Hunt has a leadership token, but he's on life support right now, so we can't use it. So that's going to end the round. This was not a good round for us. All right, well, we're going to start a new round now, and we've got some problems. I've got quite a few Zeds on this tunnel track, and we've got a wounded security guard force in Red Labs 1. So I'm thinking the advantage we have here is the stacking limits. All tunnel spaces have a stacking limit of 1, so they won't be able to get a Zed's mob through that at least. So we'd be fighting these one at a time. So I think we're going to have to see what we can do to try to shore that up a bit. There's other problems too. We've got this Zed's mob on the suburbs track. They're going to be coming after Deputy Schmidt with his prepared defenses there pretty soon. So we'll have to see what happens. A lot of problems on the board. We're kind of losing control here. We'll see what our next event is. All right, our next event is right beneath our feet. Okay. Start out with a 4R phase of 0. We're not getting much help in that department. For our infection level, we're going to have to make a roll. Our infection level's at 4, so we're hoping to roll greater than a 4 right now. Let's take care of that right away. Here's the roll. We've rolled an 8, so that's good. So no problem on the infection level. We don't have to use any supplies to eat. That's good. And the Zeds are going to activate on highway track, the suburbs track, and the mountain track. Now there's some special conditions happening here during the Zeds phase. It says at the beginning of this phase, make a fate card draw. Select any civilians or hero unit on the fated track, but not in town center or on the start space. It immediately suffers a Zed's hand-to-hand attack on the equal to column with normal infection increase, terrain shifts, etc. If it was a defiant civilians unit, it is no longer defiant. Your unit suffers losses only and does not retreat. Okay, so we'll get our fate card out, and we know what that one is already. That one is the player's choice, and then we're going to have this event will kick in for Zed's rights. Okay, so we can choose whatever track we want this to occur on. Well, I'm going to select the suburbs track, and we're going to have those Zeds pop up in Beauville. So the unit is going to suffer a hand-to-hand combat attack. It's going to lose its defiant marker, and we would gain any terrain shifts that would be there. We will get 1, so instead of equal to, it'll be human advantage. Infection level will go to 5, and we'll make the roll on human advantage against that 2 strength civilians unit. Okay, here is the roll. Result is a 6 on human advantage, and that's going to be 2 damage to our civilians unit. So that's going to take 1, and the second one will flip it. And that is the extent of that right beneath our feet card. Now the highway track is going to activate for the Zeds. All right, the highway track activates, and we've got a 5 strength damage Zed in Interstate 4, and he's going to move into the nuclear plant. All right, that's going to raise the infection level up to 6, and we've got 5 to 2, so that's going to be Zeds times 2. Get 1 column shift, that'll be Zed's advantage. Not good. This could be a problem. Okay, here is the roll for Zed's advantage. The result is a 9. A 9 on Zed's advantage is both sides are going to take 2 hits, and the Zeds will have to retreat. That's great. So 2 hits is going to flip that counter, and he'll move back to Interstate 4. We're going to take 2 hits, and that's going to flip us. So we've got a heavily damaged civilians unit in the nuclear plant. Now the rest of the activations will occur. This Zed's mob cannot move into Interstate 4. And I'll have to see if that Zed's mob can break apart and move one of their units in there or not. I'll have to check the rules. And yes, it will. So the stronger of the 2 units would move forward, creating an 8 strength Zed mob in 4, and the weaker one will stay behind, and that's how that's going to work. Okay, that is the highway track. Next is the suburban track. This is not going to be good. All right, the suburbs track is going to activate, and we've got a 15th strength Zed mob moving into East Irick. We've got Deputy Schmidt present. Infection level will rise to 7, and we've got 15 to 4 is the current odds. And that is going to be Zeds times 3. We're going to get 2 column shift for the prepared defenses. I'm almost wondering if I should use the defiant civilians instead, because it isn't going to make any difference. I think I will. We'll use the defiant civilians to defend. They're going to lose their defiant ability. And the odds will be 15 to 2, and that's Zeds times 3. And then we make the 2 column shift for the defenses, and that'll put us at Zed's advantage. All right, here is the Zeds advantage roll. Result is a 6. That's not going to be good enough. Zeds advantage is 3 hits on us, 1 on the Zeds, and we have to retreat. Okay, so we'll place 1 hit on the Zeds, and I think I'll place it on the 9 strength unit, and that will reduce them to their opposite side, down to a 4. Now we have to take 3 hits, so 2 hits will flip the unit, and the 3rd hit will be on the unit. And now we have to withdraw, so everybody has to flee to the Farmingdale University, and the Zeds will take possession of East Irick. The defenses will remain there until the Zeds exit that space, and if we can't recapture it before then the prepared defenses are eliminated. So we're going to place a chaos marker in East Irick. The refugees are now in fleeing position, and they will flee to the Farmingdale University with the others. That was not good. And finally, we activate the mountain track, and we've got a 7 strength Zeds mob moving into the Lucky Strike mine from Lefty's Pass, and we've lost control of that, and another chaos marker is coming out on that space. More chaos. This is not good. We've got a total of 6 chaos markers left at this point. And that's going to be the end of the Zeds activation. We're going to get 2 activation points, and we'll see what we can do. Well, we are starting to lose control of the situation. I haven't had many in the 4R category to move any of these refugees, unfortunately, and I don't have the actions available to do it beyond that. I've got to use them for other things. So I think what we'll start out with is Deputy Schmidt is going to use his player action token, and we'll activate him, his initiative token, and we'll use that to activate him in that space. And I guess we're going to try, maybe I'll put up some, I can't, you're limited to 1 defensive position on a track, so we can't build defenses there. Oh boy. I'll have to think about that. Well, ammunition is becoming a problem too. I'm down to 1 ammo and 5 supplies. So a gunfire attack wouldn't help. I'd have to get a 10, 11, or 12 in order to get 3 hits from the gunfire attack, so that's not going to help us too much. And if I try foraging, he doesn't have any foraging capability. I guess we'll try the gunfire attack. We'll use our last ammo. We'll make the gunfire attack on the Zeds in East Irick, and we'll see how they do. All right, he has a gunfire of 4. Rolled an 8, and 8 on 4 is 2 hits. So I guess we will place the 2 hits on the 4 strength Zed. Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah, we'll try that. I'll put it on that one. 2 hits. All right. Now we have 2 actions left. Plus we have Bob Bauer's crew token for explosives. That might help a little bit, but our supplies are really getting low. I think we'll use Bob Bauer's crew, and we're going to use their explosive devices token, and we'll convert 2 supplies into 1 ammo. That gives us at least 1 ammo. And I think we'll use one of our player actions, and we'll have another gunfire attack from Deputy Schmidt. We'll try it. Maybe I can get rid of that other unit. Here's the roll. We rolled a 10. A 10 with a level 4 gunfire attack is 3 hits. That's great. So we're going to hit one of those. We'll take out that Zeds unit, and 2 more hits will be placed on the other Zed unit. That was actually a pretty good attack for us. All right. All right, I'm going to spend my last action, and we're going to activate Wilson the Hermit. We're going to use his scavenge ability at the farm. So he'll be able to roll 2 dice and select the higher of the 2. If he can get doubles, that would be also great because that would double the amount of what we get. So here's the roll for Wilson. He rolls a 5. Okay, a 5 at the farm is 1 supply. So that'll move our supplies up to 4. So that was good at least. I'm going to have to take a look. I think I used up that ammo that we just got from Bob Bowers' crew. And if that's the case, I don't have any ammo left. I'm going to check real quick. Yeah, that's correct. We have 4 supplies and no ammo left. I have the player action token, and that's it. So, that really complicates stuff. I'm contemplating using that player action token to activate Deputy Schmidt, and he would move into East Irick and try a counterattack. There's only 1 hit left on that Zeds group. And if he could get 1 hit on them, it would at least take them out, and then that might prevent the loss of that prepared position. And then during the housekeeping phase, we could retake that position and get the chaos out of there. I don't know if he would survive the attack. We would be at 4 to 6, so we would be at Zed's advantage. We'd need an 8 or better in order to accomplish that. Well, actually, a 5 or better would do the job, but it could very well cost the deputy his life, so I don't know if that's worth it. Oh, I also forgot, we have this fake card, and we needed to play that after we resolve that top portion of the card, and it says Zeds Rights Now. People for the ethical treatment of Zeds riot. Roll a die and apply that many total losses in any combination of. And we can either take supply, ammo, increase in infection, or hits to players. So I'm going to have to do that now. I should have done that earlier, but I forgot about it. Hopefully we get a low roll. A 4. Well, we're going to have to take a combination of 4 points worth of that stuff. So let's see what we can do here. Well, I guess we'll take 2 supply losses. That'll move us down to 2. I'll take 1 increase in infection. That moves us up to 8. And now we've got 1 point left that we've got to deal with. And, I guess we'll take a hit to a player unit and we'll place it on this civilians unit in Beauville. And that'll at least complete the card. That was a nasty card for us. All right, so we still have our player action token. I don't think that counterattack is going to work too good. Well, I think we will try a counterattack, but it won't be with Deputy Schmidt. I'm going to use the player action token and activate Special Agent Wright, and we'll activate her for movement. She has 4 movement points, and I'm going to have her counterattack at the security guard post. She'll move 1, 2, and 3 into the security guard post, and she's going to launch an attack there, and we'll see what happens. Now, she has the intelligence support team ability. She receives a 1-column shift to the right in all hand-to-hand combat and gunfire attacks. So in this case, we were at 4 to 5. That would be at Zed's advantage, and that'll move it up to equal to with that special ability of hers. And we'll see how that works out. We'll try that attack at equal to. This is kind of a desperate move, but we'll try it. She rolls a 7. 7 at equal to is both attacker and the defender will lose 2, and then the Zeds have to retreat. So she's killed the Zeds. That would be their 3rd hit point on it, and that's going to take it out. Or I should say turn it over. That would be 1 and then 2, I'm sorry. So it's got 1 point of damage on its reverse side. She has to take 2 points of damage now. First one is flipping it over, and the second one would take her out. Now she has this experimental field gear. Wright gets a rugged roll each time she receives a hit. And then on a 1, 2, 3, or 4, she would suffer the hit normally. On a 5 or 6, it would be canceled. So she'll get 2 rolls for the 2 hits. before we actually employ those hits. Let's move her back to where she was. We'll roll 2 dice in. We're looking for 5 or 6 on those. It has nothing, so she's going to take 2 hits. First hit is going to flip her. The second one will take her out. She's going to have to make a saving throw now, and we'll determine the fate of Special Agent Wright. Here's the roll. She rolls a 2, and she's headed for the cemetery, unfortunately. We've lost another character. Brave lady, but didn't do it. So this 3-strength Zed has to retreat, irregardless of what happened to her, and that goes into the catacombs. All right. That is the end of our activations. And incidentally, that raised the infection level up to 9 right now, and that's where we stand. So we'll see what our next card is. Things are not looking well. All right, here is our next event card draw. What is going to happen now? A hero arrives. All right, we've got 2 in the 4R department, so let's see what we can do with that. Well, we definitely have some refugees, and I think we'll move this one out of the university and move that into Beauville. I think the refugee in the nuclear plant will move to Interstate 2. That'll help to protect it a little bit if that highway track activates. We have a little space there on the mountain track, but not much. Okay, so that is the 4R phase. Now we have to make a roll for infection. Our infection level is at 9. So I'm expecting the worst here. We would have to roll a 10, 11, or 12 to avoid it. Okay, we rolled a 7, so that's a failure. So we're going to reduce the infection level by 7. That moves us down to 2. And now we have to draw the fate card and find out what track is going to have an outbreak. And it's going to be on the highway track. Okay. And then we have a hold for later card that says play during any action phase to place a new available hero unit out of your choice on any above ground starting space. That is great. So we're going to draw a random Zed, and that's going on the highway track at the closest chaos space. That's going to be Ingeborg, and it's going to create another Zeds mob there. And this is a 6-strength Zed, so there's a 7-strength Zeds mob in Ingeborg. All right. I think we're going to use that card right away. And it says here, I think I see somebody. Play during the action. Oh, it's during the action phase. We can't do it now, so we'll save that card for later. All right. And that completes the infection round. The 8 phase, we have to roll a die. We do have 1 person in the hospital, so we'll have to see what happens with that. So at this point, we've got 1 character in the hospital, none in the refugee camp. So if we can roll anything other than a 1, we won't lose any supplies. Here's the roll. Rolled a 4, so we're good. All right, that completes the 8 phase. Now it's the Zeds phase. And they're going to activate on the forest track, the suburbs track, and the highway track. So the forest track is going to activate, and that damaged 3-strength Zed is making another attempt at attacking St. Thomas. So this battle is going to raise the infection level to 3, and it's going to be Zed's advantage, and we get a 1-column shift for the defenses. That'll be equal to. So this is an equal to roll. Here we go. Result is a 3. A 3 on equal to is 3 hits on us, and we have to retreat. Oh boy, that is not good. So 3 hits is going to take that unit out, and the Zeds are going to take control of St. Thomas, and that's going to place another chaos marker out on the board. The Defiant civilians will become refugees, and they're going to flee. All right. The 5-strength Zed in Route 6 will move up to Route 5. That'll complete the forest track. We'll move on to the suburbs track. All right, the suburbs track is going to activate. That 6-strength damaged Zed is going to move towards Farmingdale University. All right. Now, I believe that when it exits that space, I believe that the defenses are destroyed at that point. Might be wrong about that, but I think that's the case. So now we're going to have a 6 strength Zed attacking, I guess, Deputy Schmidt. So that'll be Zed's advantage. We're going to gain 1 shift for the university, so we'll be at equal to. And we'll see what happens. Now that's going to raise the infection level up to 4. And we'll see what happens. I hope we can get a decent roll here. Here's the roll. Roll's a 12. Okay, we've got equal to a 12 is 3 damage to the Zeds unit, none to us. So that is great. 1 hit is going to flip it, and 2 more hits will be applied to it. It's heavily damaged now, and it will return back to East Iric. So the only question I had is whether that defensive position is destroyed. I'm going to have to look that up, and I think when it leaves the space, if there's nobody there, that's when the defensive position is destroyed. I'm going to check that in the rules, though. Yeah, that's correct. It says the Zeds unit exiting the space. So I believe when it moved into attack, that's considered an exit. So that defensive position is destroyed. All right. And now we'll move on to the highway track activations. All right, the 8 strength Zed mob is going to move into the nuclear plant and attack the heavily damaged civilians unit there. It'll be 8 to 1. That's Zeds times 3. We'll get 1 shift. It's going to be Zeds times 2, and I don't think this is going to end well for those civilians. Here is the roll. Result is an 11. That's pretty good. An 11 on Zeds times 2 is each side is going to take 2, and the Zeds have to retreat. That is great. The civilians did a good job there. So 2 hits. We're going to apply 1 hit to that unit, removing it, and another hit on the 5 strength Zed. It will retreat to Interstate 4, and now unfortunately we have to also take 2 hits, and that's going to kill that civilians unit. So we can make a saving throw for it and see if it can go into the hospital or the cemetery. And it's going to the cemetery. Right, cemetery's getting quite filled up. Now the other activation will occur, and that'll be in Ingeborg, and that's going to move the largest strength unit forward, and that's going to create an 11 strength Zed mob there. That 1 will stay behind. That'll be all for the Zed's activation. Now it's our turn. We're going to get 2 activation points, and the card says that at the beginning of the phase we can place a new random available hero unit in either the town center or any start space. So let's see who we got. And we end up drawing Rusty Staub. All right. Let's see what Rusty comes with here. And it's just his player token, that's it. So we're going to place Rusty Staub in the town center, I think. He could also go on a start space, I think it said. Or any start space. Yeah, that's interesting. I think we'll put him in the town center. So Rusty Staub is coming out in the town center. And Rusty has some interesting capabilities here. He is a strength of 4 at full capacity, and then a 5 or 2 at reduced capacity. So we'll see what that means. He's got his abilities as survivalist. When he does a forage action, he gains 1 supply in addition to the result, even if it fails, if he fails his forage action. He's got crossbow armed. His first gunfire attack each turn costs 0 ammo. That's great. He's lucky. When Staub makes a saving roll, he can roll 2 dice and choose the better outcome. Finally, he's rugged, and it says Staub gets a rugged roll. Each time he receives a hit on a 1, 2, 3, or 4, he would suffer the hit normally. On a 5 or 6, it's canceled. He does have ferocious too. In hand-to-hand combat, it increases to 5, and gunfire strength decreases to 2 when he is wounded. So that's what that 5-2 means on the wounded side. All right. Then I think we're going to use this fate card that we drew, and we'll play that. It says, I think I see somebody. Play during the action phase to place a new available hero unit of your choice on any above ground start space. All right, let's see who we want. And I think I'm going to select Big Wheels Carter. Big Wheels Carter. He's got a strength of 8 and 4, 5 movement. It says King of the Road. Carter and his truck are 1. He cannot voluntarily enter the tunnel track, conduct gunfire attacks, increase infection during hand-to-hand combat, or can make arrests. Cargo hauler. Carter enters play on any above ground start space with his cargo marker showing loaded. Okay, that's good. When he reaches the town center, his move action ends and he can flip the cargo marker to empty and immediately gain 5 supplies and 3 ammo. His truck can be reloaded at any start space by spending 1 action to do so. Zeds plow. To attempt to move through a Zeds occupied space, upon entering it, he'll roll a die. On a 4, 5, or 6, he'll inflict a hit on each Zed in that space, and Carter can continue moving. Otherwise, Carter stops and he has to conduct hand-to-hand combat with no increase in infection. Then there's repairs. Carter never suffers hits. His truck does. However, after receiving 6 hits, he gets a saving roll. If successful, he enters the hospital where after 1 heal action, he's discharged. He can repair the truck in town center or a start space by spending a supply and an action per hit removed. No more than 1 hit can be removed in a turn. All right, well, let's figure out where we want to put Big Wheels Carter. I'm going to start him on, I think, on a start space. Well, I think we're going to put Big Wheels Carter on the start space of the highway track. And he is considered to be loaded right now. And that's great. So what I'm hoping is we can activate him. He'll maybe plow through these, inflicting some damage, and then move towards the town center. That might be a real good thing for us, and not to mention those supplies will be absolutely critical. So I think we'll put him there. Now we have 2 actions available, and I think we are going to use one of them, and we're going to activate Big Wheels right now. He has 5 movement points. We're going to spend 2 of them to move into Ingeborg, and he's going to try to crash through. And we'll see what happens with this. This is the Zeds plow. He's going to make a D6 roll, and on a 4, 5, or 6, we can continue on with our plow. So let's try it. If not, we have to fight them. Here's the roll. Got a 6. So he's going to inflict 1 damage on that Zed unit that's there, and then he can continue moving. And this will be his 3rd movement point, and he's going to try to bust through again the Zeds mob. If we can do this, each of them are going to get a point of damage. Otherwise, we have to fight them. Looking for a 4, 5, or 6. We did it. We've got a 5. So we're going to take 1 point of damage on each unit. We'll place 1 on the 6-strength Zed and another one on the 5-strength Zed. And Big Wheels can continue now. He's used 1, 2, 3 movement points, 4 into the nuclear plant, and 5 into Highway 2. That was a great use of an action for us. That was good. And I think we're going to use a 2nd action, and we're going to activate Big Wheels again. He's going to move into the town center, 1, 2, 3 into the town center. He becomes empty. And we're going to unload those supplies. That is great. So that's going to get us 5 supplies, moving us up to 7 and 3 ammo. That is awesome. Well, since we have that new ammunition come in, I think we're going to use Deputy Schmidt's initiative token. We're going to activate him, and he's going to make a gunfire attack on that Zed in East Irick. I think we'll do that. All right, he has a gunfire attack rating of 4. Let's see what happens here. Okay, we're going to use an ammunition. That'll be putting us down to 2. Here's the gunfire attack. We rolled a 9. A 9 on 4 is 2 hits. And that's enough to take out those Zeds. And they're gone. That is great. They'll go back to the draw cup. And now we have a player action token left. and to see what we're going to do with that. Well, I think we're going to use the player action token, and we're going to do a heal action on Sheriff Hunt in the hospital. So that'll remove his EKG marker, and that'll put him at his damaged side. And we could technically release him from the hospital. And maybe we'll do that, because then he can start using his leadership token. So we're going to release him into the town center, and then he's going to be able to use his leadership token. And he will use that to activate that unit, and they're going to attempt a forage roll in the town center. So the civilians will activate, and we'll see if we can get some scavenging going on here. So we've got foraging roll in the town center. Okay, here is the roll. Rolled a 5. A 5 is 1 supply. That'll move our supplies up to 8. That's great. So we made some progress here. That's about all of the actions we've got, other than we could use Big Wheels Carter, and we could use that to convert some supplies into ammunition. We've got 2 ammo and 8 supplies, so I think we'll wait on that. And I think that's going to bring this round to a close. We'll move on to the housekeeping phase. And I think I'm going to bring this video to a close, and we're going to regroup for episode 3 in the next video. As it stands now, we're kind of holding our own here a little bit. There is some space in between these tracks, other than, I mean, there are some problem areas, the forest track, but he's pretty heavily wounded there, so we might have a chance on knocking him down. And we got a little space on the mountain track and even on the highway track, but we're going to have to get some forces moving into those tracks to slow those units down, in particular this very heavily damaged Zeds mob. And I think probably our best bet would be to move in Rusty Staub and put him in there, and maybe use some of his crossbow ability, and we'll see what happens with that. So thanks so much for joining me at the Solo Gamers Club, and I hope to see you again for the next episode. In the meantime, this is Keith signing off and wishing everyone a pleasant evening. Good night.